Hey guys, I'm Mark. I run a company called smartenergy.tech. That's www.smartenergy.tech. And we do all sorts of, well, guess what? Smart energy solutions. So that starts at solar energy, which is something that a lot of people are quite keen on and familiar with. And a lot of people gravitate towards solar energy as a very green solution. So besides solar energy systems, we offer battery systems, which are quite an important way to store your solar energy, as well as to provide blackout coverage and of course also off-grid solutions, because Indonesia with its 17,000 islands has plenty of places where there is no stable power supply. Then what we also always emphasize is energy efficiency, because not only is this a very sustainable way, but it also makes then your overall investment in solar and batteries and other solutions much lower. Number one target for energy efficiency measures here in the tropics is, as you would probably guess, air conditioning. Air conditioning is 50 to 70% of a building's power consumption here in the tropics. In this company also air conditioning is a focus of ours to evaluate, to optimize, and then to implement. The last step is to tie it all together, smart building control systems. Very few buildings in Bali have this solution. This is not only a great convenience tool, it does also help indeed to optimize your energy consumption, because you leave the house and then you realize, oh damn, I forgot to turn off the AC in the bedroom and I'm going to be gone for 4 hours. Rather than turning around, you go to your device and you switch off your AC and you saved 10 kilowatt hours. So quite an important energy efficiency tool, these smart building control systems. So to summarize, we are focusing on energy solutions for buildings, mostly villas, small resorts, and also businesses. We focus on Bali and the Eastern Islands, as well as other remote areas. And we also do help our clients to optimize and design a new project from the ground up. Because if a project is designed poorly from the start, it is going to be very hard, very expensive to optimize its energy services, its energy solutions, going to make it much more expensive. So it does pay back to evaluate it from the start with a focus on sustainability, on energy efficiency, and on renewable energy solutions. When it comes to solar systems, our smallest system size is 3 kilowatts. Now, there is a new regulation from PLN. PLN is our local utility. And if you are on the grid, if your villa is in Bali and you are being supplied by PLN, you want to install a solar system, we have to comply to the rules. Now, I'm mentioning this is because this new regulation doesn't allow it to export surplus energy. Previously, you could basically export surplus energy to the grid, and then it really didn't matter so much how much you consume yourself, because you got a credit for overproduction, which you would then consume at night. So you install 5 kilowatts, you're not at home, doesn't matter, your surplus power goes to the grid, and at night you run your ACs in your bedroom, you take the power back from PLN and you use up the credit that you built throughout the day. This rule unfortunately has been cancelled by PLN in Java and Bali. Now, with the new rule, you are not allowed to export any energy to the grid anymore. Without making it too complicated, the consequence is to make the project as financially feasible as possible. We mustn't waste too much solar power, aka we must design the system so it is sized to your actual energy consumption during the day, or you buy a system with batteries. So, long story short, if 3 kilowatts is our minimal size, that translates into at least, I would say, a 2-bedroom villa with a pool as the minimal villa to satisfy a 3 kilowatt system. And the starting price, it starts at about 65 million for a solar system like this. So the break-even does depend very much on the system size. A bigger system is per unit, per kilowatt installed, much cheaper than a smaller system. So long story short, a small system, 3 kilowatts, will have a break-even period of about 7 years on a 30-year lifetime. So panels indeed last 30 years. It's a very, very long system lifetime. So even so, 7 years may not sound super attractive. If you indeed have a lease for 30 years or you own the building, then you still make 5 times your money back almost. So it's still a very good return on investment of over 600% with 7 years break even. On a larger system, say 10 kilowatt plus, your break even can be as low as 5 years. On a 5-year break even on a 30-year lifetime, that return is 800%. Pretty good investment, but your lease should be at least 10 years to justify that. An important consideration for many villa owners is that they may be themselves green inclined and want to do the right thing for the environment, but also it does help in the marketing of your villa, because your villa looks a bit more interesting. If you scroll through several villas, like, oh, hey, these guys have solar panels, I'm green motivated, this villa is almost the same price as the other one to rent, I want to choose the one that has a solar system. The second aspect is, if you install batteries, you can also take advantage of having uninterrupted power supply. So if there is a PLN blackout, your villa will continue to have electricity without you needing a genset. If you want a battery just for a couple of hours of blackout coverage, say that would be a 10 kilowatt hour battery, your break even is about 8 to 9 years instead of 6 to 7. 10 kilowatt hours start at about 43 million. So it's not terribly bad, but you've got the added advantage of having blackout coverage. So it is a payback, but the benefit is rather qualitative with the batteries. The beauty about solar systems, and the reason why there's so much solar now installed around the world, is actually relating to the maintenance. The simple fact is a solar panel has no moving parts. There's no mechanical movement required to generate the electricity. As such, there's literally no maintenance. That is what makes solar so great. This is the reason why a solar panel lasts for 30 years, because there's no wear and tear as such. I do recommend to look at a panel in dry season if you see it hasn't rained for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and you happen to be in a very dusty area or in an area close to a main road where there's a lot of pollution. Your panels will simply get dirty, like a window. So you just wash the panels. You lose 5 to 10% output from dirt on the panels. So not catastrophic. Clean your panels, just wash them off, and it's done. Well, it depends what stage of the project we come in. We love coming in early, because then we can actually help to optimize not just where to place the solar panels, but we can also look at the electrical system overall and say, we can help you to optimize it. It's quite a benefit to let us have a look over your electrical plan. We see if there's any faults in the actual electrical design. Secondly, we see if the system has been correctly sized in terms of breakers, in terms of PLN connection and so forth. Then we can look at what kind of devices have been selected. We can see if it makes sense, or if we can actually recommend more efficient devices to make the overall building equipment less power hungry. And that then actually will lead to eventually a smaller solar battery system only required. So this is what we do in terms of electrical review. Right? Very often we do this as free as a just, oh yeah, let us have a look over and these are some top tips, go back to your MVP and you can optimize this with these tips. On the integration of the solar panels, here it gets interesting, because some owners are really motivated and say like, yeah, I put them there, I love seeing them, this is great. Sometimes the architect will say, oh no, but I don't like it there, and then we try to find a place where we can integrate them. It's a process. You know, it can go either way. We help through visualizations. We develop a 3D model so we can very, very clearly show this is what it's going to look like. As a tip to how you should design your building in terms of optimizing it for solar. In Bali, we are 8 degrees south of the equator. So most of the time the sun is in the north. The optimal output, if you have only one orientation, is 10 degrees pitch. The good news about this, that's a very easy integration on flat roofs. A lot of modern villas are designed with flat roofs. Great way to put our panels on. So this is a very common misconception. If you install a solar panel system, you don't get rid of your existing electrical connection. Your solar system will work what we call in parallel with your PLN connection. The reason for this is a normal solar panel system doesn't have a battery. Now solar, while it's great and produces wonderful electricity while the sun shines, the weather is not predictable. Yeah. So a solar system without batteries would not be delivering you reliable power supply. So what we do is we keep your electrical power connection and we install the solar system. It basically delivers your electrons locally. If your local solar electrons are not sufficient, your electrical system automatically draws more electrons from the grid. So that's an automated process. It's not an either or. It's both in parallel, the solar and PLN. So it's not a choice. It is going to be reliable because you simply keep your PLN connection. There is, like I mentioned with PLN, the current rule is that we have to develop a so-called SLO, which is a certificate line operasi for the solar system, and fill the application form. That is paperwork that we do for the client, so it's not terribly complicated. First, we install the solar panel system. We're not supposed to turn it on until we got a permit. So the process is we install it, then we apply, because we can only apply at PLN once the system is installed, because they may come the next day, theoretically, to verify it. And then change your meter. Your meter is the box that counts your power consumption. So we'll change that to a so-called solar net meter. This whole process takes about 2 to 4 months, depending on how quick PLN is working through. And you get found by PLN to have it installed without having that permit, they can fine you. We can provide a cleaning service for the panels, but that's something that your normal staff can do. So we can train them and that they can clean it. We do recommend a biannual or annual checkup on the system. It doesn't harm to check on the system once or twice a year. Right? So we do offer that as a maintenance service. We provide for the installation, in terms of warranty, 1 year full warranty. The panels are warranted for 15 years fully. They actually come also with a 30-year performance warranty. The inverters themselves have a 5 to 10 year warranty. The batteries, lastly, now we have several battery qualities, but our top class batteries have a 10-year warranty and should last for 8,000 cycles, which comes to some 20 years. Indonesia is trying hard to develop a battery industry and an electric vehicle industry. The government has put a lot of support in it. On this topic, this is actually a very interesting one because it is a double-edged sword. If you have an electric vehicle, don't forget to also buy a solar system to truly reduce your emissions, because if you just charge it from the grid, you're just moving the emissions from your tailpipe to a power plant somewhere, but the emissions are actually even worse than from your own car. That's one of the little known aspects of electric vehicles. Number two, there are very large batteries on wheels. You know, a medium-sized electric car is a 40-50 kilowatt hour battery. If you want to charge an electric car of this size in 10 minutes, ideally, right? Because no one has time, we all want fast charging, right? The power capacity that needs to be available at the point of charging has to be 120 kilowatts. To put this into perspective, your typical 3-bedroom villa, the power connection size is 10 kilowatts. So what is the consequence? We will see a lot of problems in our power grid in Bali. And all these charging fluctuations in the grid will very likely lead to a very unstable grid in the future. The good news on the technological development is the future is definitely solar battery technologies everywhere. Indonesia sits in Southeast Asia, which is very, very close to China. Now, China has already, of course, embarked on its mission to become a world leader in clean technology, especially solar panels, especially batteries, especially electric vehicles. So we see a lot of innovation and, more importantly, a lot of price reduction coming out of this giant economy. And Indonesia is benefiting from this. Solar panels, when I started industry 15 years ago, solar panel prices were 10 times higher. Indonesia, being so close to China, has the benefit of low transportation costs, quick transportation costs, and being able to absorb and benefit from these technologies that Indonesia isn't necessarily developing itself. But they're entering the market, and here in Indonesia we can benefit from those. One more thing I want to highlight, again, which I mentioned it already, going green starts especially in the design process. Going green means being aware where you consume electricity. Trying to mitigate your electrical consumption by going solar should be the last step. The first step should always be design a better building. Passive cooling, lots of shading, lots of airflow, well-sized AC systems, well-sized pumps. That is the cheapest and the greenest way. And that starts on the drawing board with your engineers. Well, I do think that Bali, which is now very much suffering from over-tourism, will see a strong emphasis on sustainability, I do think that new generation travelers are looking for more sustainable options. Solar may not be the cheapest and should be only one of your many options to go green. It is one option that is A, very much appreciated by people, B, it is very visible. And I think that is a differentiating factor in a crowded market. It not only helps you attract possibly better paying but more customers, but you will also contribute to a slightly more sustainable Bali, because going the way we have been is going to be a dead-end road.